The next one is toxins, specifically toxins of burnt things. And I always like to start this story. In my book, I'm actually telling a story about a woman called Jean Clément, and she was a French woman. And she didn't lead a very healthy life. So she liked fried food. She ate a whole bar of chocolate a week. She drank alcohol, a glass of wine, and she smoked a cigarette every day. So she was a smoker. And there was one interview where they asked her if she doesn't think that she should stop smoking because she knows it's unhealthy. And she always said, yeah, I know it's unhealthy, but why should I stop now? Because after all, I've already been smoking for more than 100 years. And Jean Clément was 122 years old, the oldest woman to ever live when she died in 1997. She was a smoker. Drank alcohol and was a smoker. Now that's really surprising. And what's more surprising, the oldest man to have ever lived was 115 years old, and he was also a smoker. Now, this is very counterproductive because we've learned smoking on average reduces your lifespan by 10 years. So it's really, really severe, very unhealthy. And the two oldest people to ever live were smokers. So why is this? Because we react differently to certain toxins. So detoxification is based on our genetics. And this time we're talking about these two, the CYP1B1 and 1A1 genes. So those two are responsible for detoxifying burnt things. And these burnt things, so if you burn something like for smoke or burnt food like barbecue, the charred parts, they have something called polyaromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. Now, these are toxic and they get into my body through inhalation or through digestion. And then the detox genes come along and say, okay, we need to get rid of this. And so it takes some of this burnt things, so some of these toxins, and breaks it down into the first breakdown product. Now, that's the interesting one. This is a carcinogen, meaning this is cancer causing. It's not the toxin itself that causes cancer, it's what my own genes produced out of it. But that's not a problem because this is a necessary intermediate step because then it's further broken down to be removed. So we need to go through this cancer-causing intermediate stage, but that is broken down really quickly. So typically not an issue. So we need to do this, and that's an intermediate step. In certain people, they have genetic defects in these genes, but these are curious because they don't stop them detoxifying. These gene defects make the genes way too good at their job. So they do that job way too fast. So what happens, the toxins get in, the genes are overactive, and they convert all of the toxins immediately into the next product. And that's the cancer-causing substance. This then is also broken down, but we have produced way too much. It accumulates in the body and actually causes cancer. And so people with overly active genes have produced carcinogens, and they are then not neutralized fast enough, and this increases the risk of cancer way more than people with normal genes. So smoking hurts us in different ways. So what do we do? Get rid of the toxins. There's no way around it. Stop smoking. You're not going to be as lucky as Jean Clément or this man. Most likely you're the average, and so that means smoking really, really harms you and your health. And so that's one way to go, but your genetics will tell you it might be 10 times worse for you to smoke than for other people, but it's bad for all of us. The next one is the detoxification of heavy metals and chemicals. Now, we're talking about these genes here, and they are responsible for detoxifying certain chemicals. So one of them is heavy metals, so lead, cadmium, quicksilver, or mercury. And especially in our polluted oceans, these start to accumulate in the food chains. A big sea fish like tuna and so on, they can have higher levels of heavy metals. So these get into our body. They are very toxic, so we need to get rid of them. The same goes for chemicals like industrial solvents, or also if you have food that is sprayed with herbicides and pesticides, they also fall into this category. So through all of these ways, these toxins get into our body, and the body says shouldn't be here. And so we have the certain genes that protect us. They recognize the toxins, they chemically modify them, and this neutralizes them. So we have detoxification genes to get rid of heavy metal, for example. So if those genes don't work in the way that we want, we're going to have a problem with accumulating heavy metals. What you can do is increase your intake of certain minerals, because they can, to some degree, attach to heavy metals and remove them. And so with the right nutrition, so reduce your intake, of course, no big sea fish and so on, or clams is also a big issue, and increase your intake of minerals to help your body detoxify. That reduces the issue that you have through these gene defects. The next one is free radicals. That's a very big aspect of our aging process. And we are talking about quite a row of different genes here. So all of these are supposed to slow down our aging process. When we breathe in, oxygen gets into our body. Now, oxygen is an incredibly aggressive substance. After all, it can make metal rust. So oxygen is very, very toxic. And this is why we have protective genes that protect our body from its oxidative effects. So if I breathe in, around 5% of the oxygen that I inhale becomes free radicals. Those are like little fires in the body. They start to spread and damage everything around them. So it's a really big problem. And this is why we have certain genes that come along and have the role to neutralize them before they can do any damage. And so we have genes that protect us from these. It's kind of like the fire brigade of our body. Fire brigade comes and neutralizes them. All is good. If this doesn't work, the fires are allowed to spread. And this is why one of the reasons why we age, because it starts to spread in all directions, and this damage accumulates over the decades, and then we have more and more damaged tissues, and that's one of the reasons why we age. That's also one of the reasons why smokers, for example, look older, that they have the quite sagging skin. That's free radicals that are created through smoking. And so that's one of the reasons why we age. And we don't want this. So there are certain ways that we can protect ourselves if the fire brigade is out of commission. We can use antioxidants, kind of like the we have a forest, fires break out, fire brigade can't come in, and we have rain. And that is antioxidants, certain nutrients that come in and put out all of the fires. And so the genes didn't protect me. Antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin E, alpha-lipoic acid, those kind of nutrients can do this protective aspect that the genes didn't protect me from. And that's actually one important aspect. You might have heard some critics saying, well, taking vitamins is just expensive urine. Because truth be told, if you measure the urine of a person that takes antioxidants, you will find virtually all of them in the urine that they excrete. So it just passed through. And it's absolutely true. But this is exactly by design, because we need so many antioxidants throughout our whole body. They need to be everywhere, that wherever the free radicals originate, we neutralize it. Like rain, we have way more water to put out the fires than we would need, but we need to make the whole forest wet to protect against this. And so essentially what we do is we flush the whole body with antioxidants. Any free radicals that exist or that are produced and neutralized immediately, the antioxidants are flushed out, and we need to resupplement them. And so this expensive urine is by design. That means it's working. It's not a sign that we are wasting money. So we look at the genes, and then if they work well, we use normal amounts of antioxidants to keep you healthy. But if the genes don't work, we increase your amounts of antioxidants to counteract this missing protection that you have.